So I just wanted to make it clear um, before I'm definitely not going to live a full life. I'm not sure if I'll make it till 40, but before that happens, I did want to report and people to know why I'm in this situation. So first, let's take responsibility for my actions. So there was a little bit of cough medicine abuse as about a teenager, but that stopped pretty abruptly at about 18 or before. That didn't do much damage either. That just made me pee funny, that's all. And that's annoying, but that's about all. So after that, there was some opiates and drinking. Those have been gone and out of the picture for 8 years. I'm now 31. Those are where I gotta take responsibility. I use some opiates, alcohol, and as a teenager, pot and cough medicine once in a while. Now, I'm going to go through a list of the things that were stolen from me, and I'll describe how later. So I've had my inheritance stolen from me, for one. I had an attorney call me and tell me I need to speak to my father because there was money left to me by my mother that had to do with her Social Security. And my father lied to me, told me he knew nothing about it, and collected it all himself. It was mine and his money. It was basically her spouses or the people closest to her. Her sons and her husband are the people who could have collected that money. My father refused to allow anybody to drive me when she was passing away. He refused me to see the will hearing. And when I asked him about these questions, he lied and manipulated to prevent me from getting my inheritance. He also called Dan Beaudry, who would have driven me to get these things, and told him he was not allowed to pick me up. So my father started calling all my friends and cutting off any transportation I could use to collect my inheritance. And then he lied and manipulated and did everything he could to make sure he could collect and get all that money on his own. Okay, so he's stolen my inheritance. He not only took his inheritance, he stole his son's inheritance with it. Number two, he also stole Social Security from me from age 18 to 19, and I was not living with him whatsoever. I was living in a program and had no idea. I was also trading cigarettes for clothing every single month. Every kid but me would go out clothing shopping at the mall, and I would have to go pick up cigarettes off the ground, take the tobacco out, put them in a rolling paper, and try to trade them for extra large clothing. And from the age 18 to 19, he stole that check. And then when he found out it was ending and he got in trouble and there was a report made out about him, then he asked me to come home and take care of my dying mother. Not because he wanted me to help him, because he got caught and now I wasn't able to stay in the program I was in. So he not only stole my Social Security from age 18 to 19, he also got me thrown out of my housing, so he basically totally messed up my living situation. Then on top of that, he stole my children's inheritance. I had baseball cards from about 1971 to 1970, about 5,000 of them, all that were my children's inheritance. He also stole that and threw it in a dumpster because I took my mother's jewelry and some illegal meds from the closet. I took my mother's jewelry that was passed away after my father stole my inheritance and I sold it. That was very wrong of me, but I needed money badly. Things weren't going so well for me and it was a bad decision I made. But then he decided to steal every single thing I ever owned, and that was way over what I took. And he's stolen way over. And don't forget, he was stealing from me before I took a single thing from them. I didn't steal their illegal meds or my mother's jewelry until after I already had thousands of dollars taken from me and told to me that this was taken and proven to me that this was taken. And my father even admitted that he had taken this. So this wasn't a question. He stole from me. And then I stole illegal meds I found in the closet and my passed away mother's jewelry, what I highly regret, and I've asked for forgiveness for, and I own and take responsibility for. If anybody wants to have a conversation about that, I'm happy to, because I do regret that. Okay, so he's stolen my inheritance. He's stolen my grandkids' inheritance, or my children, or his grandkids' inheritance. He's stolen my Social Security from 18 to 19 years old. He also stole my health. At the age of 7 or 6 in Westford, they started giving me overdoses of medications, and my mother started playing with pills, bringing her friends over, giving me pills in front of them, making it into a game. I would get sick every Halloween all the way to about age 14, and she would do all these weird things to my body. She also punished me with full bottles of Ipecac. She was just screwing up my head. She also was manipulating and lying to doctors to try to get certain medications prescribed. She also was pushing a mental narrative for Social Security and attention purposes, so she could get attention. They stole my health as well. And because they stole my health, that also took many, many years off of my life. So not only did my drug choices, me going out and using opiates, alcohol, weed, and cough medicine, probably shave a couple years off my life, my smoking did too, but also the choices my father made and my mother made before I was even like 10 years old was shaving years off my life. I mean, I would get sick to my stomach and vomit every morning for years before I was even 13. I had to coat my stomach with milk every morning or I would vomit repeatedly, and I would be at school vomiting, trying to hold my eyes open at class, hungover from the medication. And they would add on more and more medication the more I complained about this at the doctors. Not only that, they hospitalized me in Lowell Treatment Center and held me down and gave me double doses of these medications, all because other problematic kids wanted to cause problems. One of my roommates was very upset and made up a story. They went to get one of the staff and told the staff that I didn't take my meds. Wasn't true at all. The kid was just very upset and wanted to get back at me. But the staff came in, asked me. I told the staff that I did take my medication, in which she told me I was lying. I said, no, I'm not. At this point, she said, we'll see about that. Got this big guy. They held me down on the floor and gave me a double dose, which my brain felt like it was fried. I felt like somebody stubbed a awl into my nose, into my brain. I'm not kidding. You give people something like 1,600 milligrams of Seroquel, 400 milligrams of Trazodone, and that's going to hurt their brain. Because I was taking 800 milligrams of Seroquel every night. I was taking 200 milligrams or 150 milligrams of Thorazine and 200 milligrams of Trazodone. I was given Remron, Lamictal, all at the same exact time. And then they would give me things like Wellbutrin and Ritalin and Adderall in the morning. So all that. Now, the Ritalin and the Adderall was only one at a time, but the Wellbutrin and the Ritalin was given together, and the Seroquel, the Trazodone, and the Thorazine was all given at the same time too. And the dosage of the Seroquel was 600 to 800 for years. Even though I complained to the doctor about chest pain, suicidal thoughts, a scary feeling, all different types of horrible symptoms, but he wanted to go up on the dosage and told me to stick with it. And it did harm to my body. And when I spoke to my mother about symptoms, told her about things like, this was a statement I made to her. I said, I think I'm getting hangovers from my medicine. I'm waking up with headaches and I can't stay awake. And she told me, don't blame the medicine. Well, who am I supposed to blame? Who am I supposed to talk to about this? So that was her go-to. And that's a phrase that's supposed to be used when people blame their medicine on their own actions. But see, my mother reversed that. The medicine would be causing things like suicidal thoughts or headaches or severe hangovers. And my mother would use that same phrase over and over, just so she wouldn't have to deal with anything. And that was the problem. So let's go over the list. I've had my inheritance stolen. I've had my children's inheritance stolen. I've had a year of my Social Security stolen. I've had my childhood stolen. I have had my health stolen. And on top of that, they move me around. I've gone from Massachusetts to Texas to New Mexico to Maine to Mass to a bunch of cruise boats to Mass to Maine to New Hampshire to Mass to Maine. I've moved so much around that I never got roots either. So they've also stolen any roots I could have developed. So that's everything that was taken from me. Just for the record, I've had my health taken from me before I was even 15 years old. I have had my inheritance taken, and if anybody deserved their inheritance, it would have been me. After my mother did all these awful things with medicine to my body, took in so much damage to my body, you would think if anybody was entitled to an inheritance, it would be me. I also stuck by her the whole time. I kept the family together to the very end of her death. I also took abuse, and I also took the blame for anything she needed to blame on me. She was day drinking, Zach's fault. She was going loopy, Zach's fault. She needed therapy, it's Zach's fault. So I took the blame for her too. So that's not worth anything? Apparently not. So I've got absolutely nothing for my troubles. And then I asked for something like surgery for my teeth. I had 5 infections that were spreading to my sinuses, throat, and lungs, as well as my chest. It could have been my heart too, but they found it in my lungs, sinuses, and throat, and it was from 5 infections in my mouth. And I even spent a year trying to save up the money because they needed $4,853 before they would give me the surgery. And I spent a whole year begging my relatives to help me out with this, and they say no, no, no for an entire year. And then eventually they say yes, but I have to pay them back. Now, I'm not sure if it's fully paid back, but I've sent them more than $2,400 in return. That's not a gift. That's not somebody being kind out of their heart if they're going to have you pay them back. I still appreciate the loan like a bank might be able to give me, but I don't consider the bank loving me because they gave me a loan and I'm paying them back with interest. Nobody considers the bank a family member for loaning them money and then having them pay you back. No. Now, if somebody gave you that type of money, that would be a loving person. That would be somebody who really loves you, somebody who really cares about you, and you would know it. But somebody who wants that money back and knows that you have to struggle to pay it back, that's a different story. And just asking somebody to pay you back who's gone through everything I've gone through says a lot about a person. So, and me, I hold any debts over my head. If I say I'm paying you back, that cloud's not going to disappear. It's not. I'm going to do everything in my power. I am going to go without food. I am going to go without medicine.